Hey folks, I'm Al Mattingly, Daviess County Judge Executive, and today I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Suzanne Miles, our state representative in the General Assembly, and Suzanne and I are here to talk about Real ID, what Real ID is, the importance of Real ID, the importance of having a regional office in Owensboro and Daviess County, and just talk about things generally that are going on and will be going on in the county over the next 3 months. So, Suzanne, welcome back into Daviess County. You never leave because you live here,
True.
But it's always nice to see you.
Well, always good to be here. Basically, we are here today to talk about Real ID. I am Suzanne Miles, State Representative of the 7th District, which includes all of Union, part of Henderson, and part of Daviess County. The push towards Real ID is really a federal mandate more than anything that's coming down, and we finally, at the state level, got the legislation passed and kind of the rules in place of how Real ID is going to go forward. Real ID is going to be mandatory if you want to get on a plane and travel somewhere. If you want to go into a federal building, most anything that requires a federal ID will require a Real ID going forward. Military bases as well. 2021, October of 2021 is the deadline now. Originally it was this year. That's been moved based on COVID-19 and things like that. Currently we have a temporary office here in Owensboro, and you can go to the state website and sign up for an appointment and apply for your application. I do encourage everyone, if they're going to apply for the Real ID, to go through the checklist, make sure you have your documents ready before you actually set up your appointment to go get your Real ID. They will be available for, I believe it's 8 years when they go into effect after the time period, whenever they become mandatory as far as
So the cost will be a little more than what folks are used to paying for their regular driver's license.
Correct.
But this is going to last 8 years.
And it'll last 8 years compared to the 4 years that your driver's license typically would go. And right now we are in transition of the regional office that'll be in Daviess County. We are very pleased that the judge has worked with us at the state level and the local level too, to make sure that we have a regional office for Owensboro. And what does a regional office mean? That means any ID that you would need, whether it be your driver's license, whether it just needs to be any state issued ID, will be available to get at the regional office. And the regional office is, let you tell where it's going.
As you said, right now the temporary office is located, I believe, on Davis Street between 1st and 2nd. And as you said, you need to go online and make an appointment to go in there, because it's only manned certain days of the week during certain hours. But we were able to negotiate with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the location of a Real ID office in our operations center out on Highway 81. The office downtown Owensboro, we have a beautiful downtown and spend a lot of money, but one of the things that folks will tell you is not a lot of parking. And that was, I think, one of the considerations when the Transportation Department selected the operations center on Highway 81. There's quite ample parking for folks. We're thinking that when this office opens, and I would say our goal is by January 1, 2021. Right now, we have already prepared architectural plans for the remodeling. We have signed a lease with the state. We have had a walkthrough meeting with contractors to bid the renovation, and we're looking for those renovations to be done end of November, which then gives a month for them to move in and start to man the place. It's really important, and I know Suzanne and I both work really hard. It's important that we have the office here. Number one, Daviess County is one of the largest counties in all of Western Kentucky, and we had been bypassed originally. The first Real ID regional office had been located in Madisonville. And what that meant was that if our citizens wanted a Real ID, they had to drive to Madisonville. And that's all citizens. And why it might not be a hardship for me, I can take off the time to go, you're probably looking at spending a half a day driving to and from, the cost of transportation and all those things. So it's really important that we have one located here. And it's going to serve all those counties that are contiguous, and actually anyone in the Commonwealth can come. Right now, our previously, all driver's licenses and IDs came through the circuit court clerk's office. And that was located under the purview of the judicial branch of government. Well, that has been transferred. The real ID has been transferred over to the transportation cabinet. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Right.
And it never made sense to me that somebody would have to go to the judicial center to get a driver's license, but come to my courthouse to license or get new tags for their car. And we always were directing people back. Now you can get the real ID at the op center, and I think pretty soon, I really believe within the next year or so, that they will move the regular driver's license out there, because there will be some people who will not want a real ID. My wife and I, we fly on occasion, and I have to go into some federal buildings on occasion and make trips to Washington, so it's pretty necessary. I could have a passport. You could
Yes.
use a passport in lieu of real ID, but it's just so much more convenient. So I was pleased that working with Representative Miles, with the Transportation Cabinet, and with everybody involved, that we were able to, we actually offered several sites, one of them here in the courthouse. We thought it would be a wonderful location. Now you can come here to get all of those kinds of documents. Just didn't work out, and parking was still an issue. We just recently purchased the Shirt Center building over on 3rd and Allen. And we thought that could be a good place. Still not enough parking. We would have preferred to have kept it downtown if we could, but just, so Highway 81 at the op center, it's on a major state highway, easy access in and out. So there we are, and we're moving forward with it.
Well, the one thing I think that we need to make sure that people are aware that this is not mandatory. A real ID is not mandatory. The only way that it would be mandatory for you is if you actually needed it to go into a federal building or to a military base and things like that. If you want to fly and you have a passport, that is more than welcome. You can use that. You don't have to have a real ID at that point, but this is a federal mandate going forward on a lot of your federal options. So this is not mandatory. If you want your standard driver's license, you'll be able to get that, but once the regional office is open, you'll be able to get any state issued ID. So that would include a regular driver's license, a real driver's license, an ID card. Your CDL license will also be a place that you can get at that point in time too. So just so that people understand, it is not mandatory to get a real ID, but in the event, out of a convenience to fly domestic, you would need an identification, whether it be your passport or a real ID, in same way to get into the federal facilities. So.
And Suzanne, I've had some people question why out of the op center, and decide, they were concerned about the travel. If it were located here in the city, there is a bus line that can take you to and from. But the question the retort to that question is simply, what if it was in Madisonville? How are you going to get down there? So while it may not be ideal for some people who are limited to public transportation, it's a lot better on Highway 81 than it would be in Madisonville. So it's a lot less travel. Now, it's going to be some Hancock County folks are going to have to drive into Owensboro, Ohio County folks, McLean County folks. They've got the option to go wherever they would wish. It's one of those, you're always going to make some people happy and always going to not be able to please some folks. There's always going to be that, what you try to do is balance, but in the end, I think the best balance was to have a regional office here in Owensboro and Daviess County, the largest county and city in the Brad region.
And we're really fortunate that we are going to have a regional office, but keep in mind, you could go to any regional office in the state of Kentucky and get the same IDs that you need. Of course, you have to have valid information to apply for those license and things like that. You will not get it the day that you apply. It will be mailed to you after your application is processed to kind of give that idea. But we are really fortunate that we are going to have one locally in our area, in our region, and I think that it will be a convenience for all the surrounding counties to have easy access for that. But keep in mind also, once you get the Real ID, you will have the option to get it for 8 years. So that would be a one time every 8 years to apply for that. It will be more expensive than the original driver's license. So if you choose to do that, just kind of keep that in mind. Currently, they only accept they only accept credit card and debit card. But going forward, whenever we get the regional office set up and everything like that, the legislators were very forceful in making sure that cash and check would be available for our citizens and not mandate credit cards or debit cards to do that. So we will make sure all payment options are available.
Well, Representative Miles, I know you're very busy doing the business of Daviess, Henderson, and Union County and Frankfort. And again, I want to thank you for that representation. She happens to be my own representative. My precinct happens to be located in the district that she serves. So I want to thank you for making the trip here to the courthouse today.
Well, thank you for having me, and we look
Absolutely.
forward to coming back, and hopefully next time around when we get the regional office open, maybe we can even actually do our applications and get our Real IDs going on.
I think that the crowd out there will look forward to seeing you process your way through.
I look forward to that also.
Okay.
Thank you.